Hello, everyone. This is the Get to Know the Line Up Team, Tech Environment, Culture, and etc. This is the title of the casual session. Hello, everyone. So first of all, we would like to start with the self-introduction. Mr. Takeshita, would you like to start? Hello, my name is Takeshita. I belong to Line Fukuoka. Stick communication function is the development that I am in charge of. I'm a manager of the team. Thank you. I am located in Tokyo. Line Client Application Development Manager. My name is Fuke, and also belong to Line in Tokyo Android Application Development Team. I'm a manager of the team. My name is Okamoto, and I am Line Development Department Senior Manager. My name is Hayashi. I am the moderator today. So I want to talk about line development team, culture, and environment. A lot of questions that we receive when we interview the job applicants. We have a collection of questions. So I'd like to ask some questions to the participating managers. This is a live session. So if you want to ask questions, other than the questions that we prepared, you are free to ask questions. And what we want to do is to try to answer as many questions as possible. I will select some of the questions that we decide to answer in this session. So first question that I want to ask is this. At this time, I think this is a frequent question. How much do you remote work? How long have you been working remotely, Mr. Okamoto? Recently, I'm pretty sure you may have been also working remotely. Since the end of February in our company, we started remote working. During the emergency, we are asked to work remotely. That was a recommendation. The new working hours are being experimented today, so we are in the preparation phase. So you are allowed to come to office or stay at home. And you don't have to come to the office at all during the whole month. There's no fixed days that you need to come or stay at home. I have come to the studio today, but I met Fuke-san for the first time for a long time, I think since February, but I do meet him virtually in the video conference often. So what we do is to communicate with colleagues frequently, virtually, so you don't have to come to the office, especially when it comes to development. I think we can afford to work remotely. We have a participation from Fukuoka, Mr. Takeshita. You are also working remotely. Complete remote communication will have making it possible to improve efficiency as well. I have prepared questions. I may not be able to ask all of the questions, but let's move on. So this question now. Do you use Line for internal communication? When you communicate within a team, do you use Line? Mr. Fuke, would you like to answer this? Yes, we do. That will be the answer. We also communicate with Line for dog fooding as well, to explore possible bugs. You know, it's easier to notice a bug immediately. So during the development team, we do communicate in Line. Other than that, we do use Slack in the development department for communication, and for Line works, for example, with other departments. Amongst employees, especially employees in other departments, we do use Line works as well. Thank you very much. We are a team of developing Line applications for the purpose of dog fooding, we do use Line for communication internally. Yes, that will be the answer from myself. So next question. Line has several offices in Asia. Do you often go on business trips? So Mr. Takeshita from Fukuoka, please. In the time of Corona, COVID-19, not so much, but before Corona, we have gone to South Korea. The Line development members had a workshop once a year. During the workshop, we played games for friendship. I am located in Fukuoka, but sometimes I visited Taiwan to employ engineers. And to Tokyo, I often frequently went to Tokyo, monthly almost. Sometimes it's easier to have face-to-face communication. So thank you very much. The research institute in South Korea is located right next to data center on top of the mountain. It's very, very cold, especially in winter time. So you were actually enclosed inside the building, which is good for team building. What about the managers here in Tokyo? 2 managers here. So we went to South Korea. We also went to Taiwan several times to work with Taiwanese engineers. There was a hackathon-like event in Taiwan, although it's difficult now. I hope that we will be able to make business trips to other countries as well. So next question. This is also a frequently asked question. iOS, Android, server-side. Can you actually change roles between these different platforms? Mr. Okamoto, this question to you. To a certain extent, if you have knowledge in a specific area, it is possible to change your position. Especially in our company, we have the job posting system, including engineers. The department will announce a call for specific positions. If you can move on from client development to server development, you can actually ask for a transfer. As much as I know, client-server developer has changed his position to the client-side developer. It is possible. When a new platform is announced, I think this can be convenient. Especially for those who want to take on a new challenge, opportunities are available for them. Thank you very much. So the next question, this is often asked as well. What are your work hours and work style? This is related to HR, Mr. Fuke. Well, engineers fresh from university have flex time, but basically they are working side load. So it doesn't matter when you come, it doesn't matter when you leave the office. If you look at the whole Line company, there are different work styles specific to department. For the development team, I think by 11 in the morning, all of the members will be in the office, and they tend to stay up to 6:30 or 7 p.m. Thank you very much. So side load work is pretty common. So the next question. As an engineer or as a manager, what is the career ladder that is prepared for Line engineers? Mr. Takeshita, would you like to answer this question? Engineers' skills need to be developed. So there is one career possibility, and there is also another career path for a manager. And you can focus either one of these, or you can try to focus both of those paths. If you are moving up in the management ladder and may decide or change mind, then go back to the technical engineer ladder. It is possible to change that path. I have some colleagues who actually did the change. Other than that, when you actually change the the ladder, the path. Some companies force employees to take tests, but in line, switching is not all that difficult. So if you want to be a manager and change mind, want to become an engineer, it's actually good to have an experience of as a manager.
Okay, next question. Can employees transfer office physically, the location or countries? So the transfer over boundaries. Okamoto-san, would you answer? Yes, it is possible. In Japan, Tokyo, Fukuoka, or vice versa. And also the South Korea and Japan, and then vice versa. So in our Android team, the engineer who used to work at the development office in Vietnam has now moved to Tokyo and then working with us. Thank you. So in case of Tokyo, we receive many foreigners, but what about in Fukuoka? Do you accept foreigners? We accept people from Tokyo office and also Kyoto office, and the remuneration range are the same all over Japan, so it is easy to transfer offices inside Japan. Okay, so it is possible. Next question. The WWDC and then Google I/O, there are a big conference going on overseas. Does LINE support employees to attend this? This year, well, unfortunately, COVID-19 forced us to do the WWDC online and also no Google I/O. But LINE also has the financial support system for employees to participate international conferences. Last year, in case of WWDC and then Google I/O, that was a lottery, so that the people had to apply for that, and when they are selected, then 100% accommodations are supported by the LINE. I don't know about the 2021, what's going to happen. If we can go, then of course, a company can financially support the participants. Okay, then I will pick up some questions from the audience. First one is if you develop new features, and usually how many engineers do you have for that team, and from what type of department do you see members from? Well, it's up to the size of the functionality or features, so it's up to the size. But usually client development, server development, and also the planning department, deciding on the feature, a designer, and also UX engineers. Those are the members who come to work together, and also planner decide the definition of the feature, and also engineers and also designers and then others input their opinions to the project. So when it is a small feature, then one client team engineer and one server-side team. And when it becomes larger, then we have several members coming from one department. So but the people who are working on the same workshop, that they are not physically in the same office sometimes, so we really have to communicate outside of the office. Another question is about the HR. The LINE support the language study, Takeshita-san? English speakers, we help them to learn Japanese, and Japanese speakers, well, mostly Japanese, but the company helped them to learn English. So they pay for private lessons or online English conversational classes, and also support for getting a test for TOEIC. So Japanese, so English speakers can learn Japanese with the support from corporation. So next question is similar to the previous one, but how many of your members are non-Japanese? Okamoto-san, go ahead. The LINE Corporation, according to the latest stats of the LINE Corporation, about 1/3 of the engineers are non-Japanese. At Fukuoka, the percentage is higher. About half of the engineers are non-Japanese. But when it comes to LINE app development teams, over or more than 50% are non-Japanese engineers. So we have great diversity in the engineer team. And I have received more questions, so let me pick one. Client OS such as iOS or Android OS, how much do you support these old version of the iOS or Android? How long do you support? It's a big challenge for us. Okamoto-san, would you like to answer? Well, from the perspective of a development team, we really want to support only a few versions, including the latest one. But the users have very old versions when it comes to Android. In case of LINE, Southeast Asia users, in some countries, the very old versions are still active in use. So from the perspective of engineer, we want to support only a few versions from the latest one. But of course, it is a problem for the old version users. At this moment, we support up to version OS 5, but it is a challenging issue. Apps, for each app, the situation is different. So we have to see the usage rate and other stats to decide how far we can go back to support. In case of LINE, the number of the users, some of the older versions are still in use. When you look at just a version, it's the latest one. But so it doesn't mean that even though your apps are not supported by the LINE, it doesn't mean that you cannot use LINE in that app. So, well, there are so many questions. I don't think that I can cover everything. What about iOS? iOS is simple. We support only 3 versions. So iOS 14, that is the latest one, and the 13 last year, and then 12 previous one. So we support only 3 versions for iOS. So we are envious of the iOS team. So every time we have discussion about it, but the iOS 11, 12, 13, and we were discussing whether we delete 11 or not. But as for the one supporting the 11, they are also supporting 12, so that users can upgrade the iOS from 11, 12 to 13. So the terminal or devices are different. Even the older iPhone version or iOS version, they can really update to the latest version, but the Androids are different. Okay, then let me select a few questions again, but this one is about the development. We haven't talked about it, so let's move on and going into development. Can you introduce your development cycle and project management? So starting from the planning department, or Takeshita-san, would you like to comment on this? Development cycle? Okay. LINE app, every 2 weeks, new versions are released, so that the development period is 2 weeks. QA is done in 2 weeks. As for the project, we add new features, improve existing features, and usually based on the request from the planning department. And sometimes we do refactoring to eliminate the bugs and also develop new features. Okay, thank you very much. So the new feature, which is available in the latest version, of course, we want to use it in the line. So we've been always working on that.
All right, then this. There was a similar question early on. Who are the developers? From what team they are chosen? So it's similar to that. What project and features does Line application focus on currently? Fuke-san? So the project, we focus on every project. Recently, Line has so many functions. It is almost referred to as a super application. So in terms of platform support, we have to make sure that it's easy to use. So that will be the focus. And of course, originally it was a messenger application. So messaging function needs to be strengthened so that users will find it fun and easy to communicate. Stickers and emoji, themes. So those are focal areas. And during the COVID-19, you do communicate online. It can be the video communication that is needed. When 5G is available, close to real-time, large capacity communication will be the mainstream. So that will be another focus for us. So that's my thinking right now. Thank you very much. We have much less face-to-face communication. In other words, the line's role has expanded today. So functional improvement is something that we need to focus on going forward as well. Now this question. We want to stop here and I want to pick up other questions because other questions are coming in. Well, comments to code and documents, what language do you use? Is it English, Japanese, or both? So do you have any challenges in terms of language diversity? So Mr. Okamoto, would you like to answer this question? The comments to code or document about codes, as I mentioned earlier, we have an increasing number of non-Japanese engineers. So basically, when we make comments, it's in English. And in terms of language diversity, the challenge, it's not a challenge. Although it's not a challenge, when we have a meeting, we have remote meeting. Participants come from different countries, and we have internal simultaneous translators available. And when we do communicate in English, and well, each participant from different countries can speak local language and use interpreters for communication. And also, we use Line for communication as well. We introduce translation bots in the group to be able to get rid of communication issues due to the language difference. All right, then, thank you very much. Different people speak local languages, but rather than using local language, we have to make sure that we have the common language for better communication. So English is often used to write comment as well. I think we are running down. Time is running down, so I would like to try to pick up some other questions from the viewers. So iOS and Android. Cross-platform development. What is your view on cross-platform development? That's the question. To whom should I ask this? Mr. Fuke? Platforms are a major challenge in Line. Why? Well, partly because of the history. When we started the Line in the beginning, we developed in a very short time. So there wasn't much alignment made between different operation systems. We have diverse specifications, iOS spec, Android spec, and they are all diverse. And we have that debt even today of specification diversity. That is a challenge. And we have increasing number of development today. So what we are trying to do is to sort of converge those differences. And I think we have been able to improve the communication on that topic. So the overall direction is to solve this issue. Yes, I'd like to add some comment from myself as well on this point. iOS and Android, one source development for both platforms has not been applied to Line application functions. So for that purpose, we have used web. When performance is required, especially when it's complex face recognition or effect engines, we do write in C++, and that will be then converted to Android and iOS. And that's one example of cross-platform development. Basically, the basic functions are developed for a specific platform. So we have two teams, Android developers and iOS developers. We have less than 2 minutes remaining. So the last question, the next question will be our last question. What should I do? I have many questions still. Well, this is a good opportunity, so I'd like to pick up a question from the viewers. 1.5 minutes is left. So Line new function development, engineers may be in a very small team. How do you actually collaborate with other teams? The last question to the Tokyo team and Fukuoka. I think we have great collaboration. So Mr. Takeshita, would you like to answer this question? Oh, yes, depending on the size of the functions. But in Fukuoka, we have small team to develop functions. So in terms of collaboration with existing teams, in Line Corporation, there are other teams that are developing the similar functions. So we communicate with teams, and through code review, we make sure that we can eliminate any possible problems through that collaboration. Thank you very much. We've received so many comments. Thank you very much. The questions we were not able to answer during this session, we would like to try to reply later on. Thank you very much. The earlier question, we have small divided teams to develop different functions, and we collaborate with each other. Thank you very much. So I think our time is up. We want to close. Thank you very much.